What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a talk about the One Piece card game. You see, I made a video where I told you that there are going to be 5 special cards in OP-04. And I told you that we didn't know what they were. And incidentally, that was true. When I made that video, we had no idea what these 5 special cards were. Now, we'd seen them in OP-03, we'd seen that they were wanted posters. Not only were they wanted posters, but they were reprints of existing cards. So over in OP-03, we got the Eustace Captain Kidd, which came around in Romance Dawn. That was reprinted with a rather lovely wanted poster design. It was very, very cool. And then we saw starter deck reprints for Monkey D. Luffy, Don Quixote do Flamingo, and Kaido. So we had these themed cards. There were 4 of them. They were these special cards to try and pull out of boxes, and it was kind of cool. And we knew that there was another set of 5 coming this time round. Were they going to be wanted posters? No. No, they're not. Are they going to be reprints of existing cards? Yes. Yes, they absolutely are. So we've got a reprint, and I think the most sought after one, and there's actually a couple that are going to be really looking very, very good. But one of them is Edward Newgate. This is the Edward Newgate from Paramount War from OP-02, and this is a fantastic card that sees a huge amount of play. Worth pointing out, of course, that that card does already have an alternate art in Paramount War, so it's up to you which one of these you prefer. But this is a very, very, very fancy version indeed. 9 cost, 10,000 power. It's a phenomenal card. And on play, up to one of your leaders gains 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. And then you can add life cards to your hand using your own effects. And then Don X2, when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. Phenomenal card. We've seen Edward Newgate decks have been phenomenal decks. This is a big part of it, and now we've got this fancy version. I'm not here to tell you which of these is better. That's your decision to make, but I thought it was worth just, look. Look how cool it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look how cool it is. Now, there is another one that came around in OP-02, which is being featured here, and that is Sakazuki. Worth noting, this is another one that also has an alternate art in Paramount War, so it's up to you to decide which of these 3 artworks you prefer. Actually, I say 3, don't forget Sakazuki. This exact one has been an event promo for the championships this year as well. So there are actually 4 different artworks of Sakazuki, so you can now go and do that thing where you play a playset with all different artworks, which is honestly kind of cool. And what we got here is 6 cost, 7,000 power. On play, you may trash a card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Yeah, it's just a big character that KOs when you play. That honestly sounds pretty good to me, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds like a cool card. So they are going for good cards here. Another one which I think might end up being extremely popular from these is the Trafalgar Law that came around in OP-01. And I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here. This is another one that did have an alternate art in the set. So again, it's up to you guys which one you want to be going for here. And this Trafalgar Law is a very good card that has proven to be a very good card. 5 cost, 6,000 power blocker. And on play, you can return a character to your hand and then play a character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So obviously, the theory here is quite simple. You want to be playing like a 1 cost card, help you out in the early game, and then you use Trafalgar Law to pay nothing to swap a 1 cost for a 3 cost, and that works out pretty gosh darn nicely. So those are all pretty gosh darn cool, I think it's fair to say. There are a couple of others coming in here as well. So we've got ourselves Bo Hancock from OP-01. Now this is, and we're seeing a pattern here, right? Let's be clear. We are seeing a pattern. Another character that did have an alternate art at the same time. I'm not sure how I feel about this, right? Because on the one hand, they're clearly trying to pick popular characters and ones that have been a bit playable. They're trying to pick good cards here, which I really appreciate. On the other hand, What they could be doing here is picking characters that hadn't had alternate arts. Now they're picking characters that have, and then it's all a little bit sad because, like, well, they've had enough love. I don't know, moot point, they've gone for others. So what we've got here is your Boa Hancock came around in OP-01, 4 cost, 5,000 power blocker, and Don X1, when attacking or blocking, draw a card if you have 5 or fewer cards in your hand. And yeah, that's a decent card. Like, it's not seen play like Trafalgar Law or Edward Newgate have seen play, but I've seen that popping up in some deck lists. It's a pretty cool card. And then we've got Magellan. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? I'm not a fan of Magellan. I've not got to that part of the manga yet, so I don't know. Maybe my opinion will be changed later on. But there are some very cool character designs in One Piece, and I just don't think this is one of them. Magellan obviously also has an alternate art. Why would it not? 5 cost, 6,000 power. On play, Don -1. Your opponent returns a Don from their field to their Don deck. On your opponent's turn, when this character is KO'd, your opponent returns 2 Don cards from their field to their Don deck. So it's a real anti-Don kind of character. It's fine. It's not one I'm particularly hyped about. I do think Trafalgar Law and Edward Newgate are going to end up being the two of these which are ridiculously popular. But it is worth reminding ourselves that when we had the wanted poster ones that came around for OP-03, initially we all kind of assumed that they were going to be like ridiculously hard to find. I was hearing 1 per case and all of that. They're not that rare. Like, I'm not saying that they are stupid common and super easy to get hold of, but I absolutely am saying that they're not as ridiculous as a lot of people kind of assumed they were going to be. So yeah, I think it worked out alright. It's fine. I like these, to be fair. I think I probably just about prefer the wanted posters, but it's one of those things where I don't think we can be terribly upset one way or the other. But there is one other extremely cool thing that I do need to show you from OP-04 that I've not had a chance to show you yet, and that is the alternate art Don card. Now, luckily on the official YouTube channel, they did go and do an opening of a box of OP-04, and by now we know that every box has the alternate art Don. It was that way for OP-01, OP-02, OP-03, and we've seen one box open for OP-04 and they had the Don. I think it's fair to assume these are just going to be 1 per box moving forward, which is lovely. And it's that moment again. So I showed you the alternate art Nefertari Vivi, which is, I suppose, very, 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 very mild spoilers here. But it is a moment where, you know, the Straw Hat crew are leaving. They're leaving Alabasta at the end of the Alabasta arc, and Nefertari Vivi is saying goodbye. And they're all holding up their arms with the X on the back of the wrist, which I don't need to explain. You either know or you don't. Go watch it or read it. I read it, and it's one of my favourite arcs I've actually read in the manga so far. And what we've got here is the alternate art leader of Nefertari Vivi kind of waving goodbye. And then we've got the alternate art Don, which is Vivi doing the impassioned speech right before she says goodbye. This is very much kind of the same kind of thing. And we've got Luffy showing off the cross on the back of his arm there as well. And this is kind of cool, honestly. Like, it's a fun moment in the manga, and I'm assuming the anime, but again, I just don't have time to watch the anime. I can read 1,000 issues in, like, 3 months. There is absolutely no way whatsoever I can watch 1,000 episodes in 3 months. That is absurd. No. It's much faster to read it than it is to watch it. That's the decision that I have made. But they've gone hard on this moment. And let's be clear, right? We knew that OP-04 was going to be the Alabasta and Dressrosa sagas. We were told this well in advance. We knew this was going to be a thing. And this is one of the real key memorable moments from the Alabasta arc. So it makes perfect sense. But yeah, the alternate art Don here is Nefertari Vivi saying goodbye or doing the impassioned speech, and then it really runs nicely into the alternate art Nefertari Vivi where you've got all the Straw Hat crew saying goodbye to her. I kind of like this. Also, I know there are some of you out there, like me when I started, who aren't really familiar with or fans of One Piece. You just like it as a card game. I know there's some people out there. I was one of them for a while. I got to be honest with you, I am reading pretty fast through the manga. Not only am I enjoying it greatly, but it is giving me a much better appreciation of the card game. So, just a bit of advice out there to all of you. Go and read it. I mean, watch it if you think you've got a silly amount of time, but do go and read One Piece. It is genuinely great. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. Those are the special cards from OP-04, as well as the alternate art. Well, not the alternate art. Yes, it is. It's an alternate art Don. That is what I'm looking for. So yeah, now it's over to you guys. Go nuts. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section. But be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.